Hi everybody, it's your old pal Lance here, back with an update from Los Angeles. Things, as you may have already heard, have been quite scary, stressful, tragic, and devastating here in LA over the course of the last couple weeks. We got off to a very rough start here in 2025. But we're trying to get back to normal as much as possible. It seems like the fires may be getting more and more contained. They are definitely getting more and more contained, and hopefully with a little rain that's coming up in our forecast, we won't be under such a massive fire threat. That said, things have, been difficult for us, but we're starting to try to get back to normal, and that's why I'm here recording this video, a recent arrivals video, like I try to do every week, and I haven't been able to just yet in 2025. So this is the first recent arrivals video. I've culled through some of the higher end records from our recent arrivals section, our top shelf section, if you will. Since we are a bar, a live music venue, and a record store in LA known as the Permanent Records Roadhouse, top shelf seems like the exact right term for our high-end collectible records, right? So anyway, without further ado, or I should say, before we get into it, can I please remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up down below, shoot us a comment, and let us know what you think of this video and what kind of content you'd like to see going forward into 2025. I've been meaning to do a 2025 vinyl tag. I really like Dom at Seeking a Threads combination of the various vinyl tags that have been floating around and creating his own curated best of vinyl tag 2025. Hopefully I'll have some time to do that here in the near future. Not this week, but potentially next. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, come and visit us over at Permanent Records LA on Instagram to see all of the recent arrivals as they go up for sale on Instagram. Not everything that we put in the store goes on Instagram, but a lot of it does. And we post somewhere between 60 and 80 records a night on Instagram for sale, and it's easy to shop our used inventory that way. You can also buy merch like this t-shirt and or this hoodie that I'm wearing. I hope you can see that at permanentrecordsla.com. So without further ado, like I said, here come my favorite picks from the latest batch of recent arrivals. First and foremost, you know me, you know I love Noi. You know I love krautrock, and Noi #1, the first Noi album, self-titled Noi, on Brain, is one of the greatest krautrock albums of all time. Those of you already familiar with the genre already know that. Those of you who are not can do themselves a favor right now and go check out the first Noi record if you want to get familiar with the genre. This is a great place to start. Another really great place to start in a very similar, minimally decorated album art or album cover here is the second album by Kraftwerk. Many of you already know Kraftwerk, obviously, from Autobahn or Trans-Europe Express or Computer World, whatever. They have a million albums, or maybe you only know the later stuff like Tour de France. Anyway, they started out in Germany, as you may have guessed, in Dusseldorf, creating very experimental, not all electronic music. There's a live drummer on this record. There's a flute. It's not just drum machines and synthesizers, even though synthesizers are definitely prominently on display here. There's guitar on the first two Kraftwerk records that, for the most part, are absent from the rest of their catalog. Anyway, these records are very hard to come by. The band disowned the first two albums, kept them out of print for many years. I think they've finally come to terms with the fact that their fans want these albums on vinyl. But either way, used copies of the original pressing like this one have been floating around since day one, and that is what this is, an original pressing of the legendary Kraftwerk 2. I'm a huge fan of psychedelic funk. Funkadelic is one of the greatest bands in that genre. George Clinton is the GOAT. And this record is not that hard to come by, but it is very hard to come by in good shape. This one is pristine, and it also includes a crispy copy of a very cool poster. I don't have time to dig it out of here right now, but if you haven't seen that, you got to check it out. It's absolutely amazing and for sure worth framing. I've shown Velvet Underground records in the past. We happen to have a super clean, still in the shrink wrap, original pressing of White Light, White Heat right now. And then for those of you who are not sticklers about condition, we have one that's not in the original shrink wrap, still in nice shape, and a stone cold classic by Velvet Underground's Lou Reed, Mo Tucker, John Cale, Sterling Morrison. Oh my gosh, this record has been talked about ad nauseum, so I won't get into it any further here, but it's one of the greatest American psychedelic art rock records of all time. Here we got Jackie McLean's Let Freedom Ring on Blue Note, a classic Blue Note in absolutely stunning condition. Here's some more jazz for you. This is Dewey Redman's Tariq on the Actual label. If you ever see anything on Actual, grab it. It's a really well curated label, especially if you dig spiritual and free jazz. There is some really, really far out stuff on this label. Albert Ayler, Don Cherry, Sun Ra, Dewey Redman. Great French label that released a lot of avant-garde jazz back in the 70s. It's late 60s, early to mid 70s. Anyway, speaking of avant-garde jazz and Albert Ayler, here we have Music is the Healing Force of the Universe by one of the greatest free jazz players of all time. And this is on Impulse. Gotta love that orange and black spine. Speaking of orange and black spines, they look so good together when you got like 15 or 20 of them all lined up. It's so iconic. What a brilliant move that was on Impulse's part. This is Pharoah Sanders, Jewels of Thought, original pressing on Impulse. Another one. This one kind of bridges the gap, definite between free and spiritual jazz. Definitely leaning more towards the free jazz side of things. It's very scrunky, not for the faint of heart, but very, very cool stuff. That, as a avant-garde rock fan, is what got me into jazz in the first place, is free jazz and really freaky, scrunky, noisy, or let's not say noisy because that wasn't the intention. Let's say avant-garde. Far out stuff. This is Earth's 2 on Sub Pop, and the special part about this Earth 2 is that it comes with this amazing press kit and this press photo. Those photos are just unbelievable. Sorry about the shadow there. I am backlit today. It's a little cloudy here in LA. Like I said, we're expecting some rain, thankfully. Well, this is Dylan Carlson before Earth became a very different kind of band. And I forget the other guy's name, Dave Harwell. Earth did a bunch of records on Sub Pop back in the day, and if you're a fan of the doomy, sludgy, drony side of metal, I guess, I don't know if metal is exactly the right genre, heaviness, and very, very low-end frequencies, as the subtitle says, special low frequency version. This is for you. Again, this is not a pop record. This will not appeal to the masses, but if you like really experimental, drony, bass heavy, ambient music, Earth 2 kind of paved the way for bands like Sun and the more modern bands in that zone. The Coup, Sorry to Bother You. Hip-hop records, especially hip-hop records from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, are so hard to come by clean. And we just bought an absolutely amazing collection of mostly 80s and 90s, some early 2000s, hip-hop, R&B, etc. And I'm showing this record primarily to tease that there's a bunch more hip-hop on the way. I may have already showed this record. If I did, I apologize. I'll breeze right past it. But what's cool about this one is that it's a white label promo of Eugene McDaniel's Outlaw. Such a great soul record. It's kind of funky, kind of weird. And again, if you're a rock person and you're looking to get into soul or R&B or funk, this is a great place to start. There's definitely a lot of overlap when it comes to Eugene McDaniel's. Headless Heroes of the Apocalypse is, I think, his best record, and that one's extremely hard to come by these days. Those of you who are into cosmic American music and the more psychedelic side of rural country rock, this Deerfield record is an amazing private press record in that genre. I highly recommend it. They were from Texas. One of the tracks from this album is featured on the Numero Group comp entitled Cosmic American Music, and this LP is great from start to finish. I highly recommend that one. Speaking of private pressings, here's one that Permanent Records reissued. This is the original pressing of Bill Vermette's Cathavision. Bill Vermette was a Chicago-based synthesist and record collector. We bought Bill Vermette's record collection and the remaining stock copies of this. You can find that video, an unboxing video of us unboxing the original pressings that Bill had left in storage, and got to know Bill very well. And we reissued other Bill Vermette related recordings as well, a band he was in called VCSR. But anyway, this record, Cathavisions, I believe, oh, it's not streaming. I just looked the other day, but I'm sure you can hear clips from this on YouTube. It's absolutely amazing. Ambient, floaty, minimal synth and cosmiche music done by an American, a working class Chicago guy, Bill Vermette, an absolute legend on the Chicago underground scene. I think Steve Krakow, I'm positive Steve Krakow did a secret history of Chicago music on him, and it's well deserved. This record, if you like, Eno and krautrock and minimal synth, check out Cathavisions. And I'm running out of time here. I gotta open the shop. We got the Modern Lovers, the original Modern Lovers. I believe this is demos that ended up on the first LP. I never get sick of that stuff. It's absolutely timeless. Here we have the Down by Law soundtrack. If you've never seen this movie, it's a great Jim Jarmusch art film featuring, John Lurie and also Tom Waits. And this one's pretty cool because it's got the press kit, including this press photo of John Lurie. If you've never heard the Lounge Lizards, check that stuff out. It's absolutely amazing. New York loungy experimental jazz. One of the greatest post-punk records of all time, cut by the Slits. This is absolutely stunning stuff. Timeless as well, very reggae influenced post-punk, reggae and dub. Another killer post-punk record. I go back and forth between calling Mission of Burma a post-punk band and a college rock band, indie rock, whatever you want to call it. Mission of Burma were a very unique and underrated band. Up until this day, still, I think Mission of Burma deserves more attention, and Versus is one of their classic albums. I read about that first in the book that I've mentioned many times, Our Band Could Be Your Life. Also on the Cosmic American Music country rock tip, we got No Other by Gene Clark. This record, I also never get tired of listening to it. If you've never heard this, just go listen to the title track. If that doesn't grab you, the whole rest of the album probably won't, because you probably don't have a pulse, because that song is absolutely stunning. On a very different tip, we got the Generic album by Flipper. This is one of those in between the cracks. It's not exactly noise rock, it's not exactly punk, it's not exactly hardcore. It lives in the nether regions between those three genres, and that's why I think it's so special to this day. One of my favorite albums on Subterranean, which was a really killer label based out of the Bay Area, and one of my favorite punk or punk adjacent albums of all time. It's just absolutely incredible. If you've never heard Sex Bomb by Flipper, go check that out. It's a groover, skronky post-punk madness. LA post-punk, Suburban Lawns. This is absolutely amazing stuff. Yeah, I don't know what more to say about it. A little more on the new wavy tip. Lots of synthesizer action going on here, but really catchy new wave from Los Angeles, right here in LA. Here's a killer classic garage psych album. This is the Chocolate Watch Band's One Step Beyond, and as you can see there, this is a white label promo version of that album. Hard to find at all. much less the white label promo. And then we have Arthur Brown's Kingdom Come, or Kingdom Come with Arthur Brown. This is Galactic Zoo dossier. The aforementioned Stephen Krakow, aka Plastic Crime Wave, he does a zine. It's more of a book, really, because it's so dense. Periodically called the Galactic Zoo dossier. Got its name from this album. You know Arthur Brown from his song Fire. If you're not familiar with that, that's a classic psych track from the late 60s, I want to say 68, 69. It's been played out a little bit, you know, it's a little trite at this point for serious collectors, but it's a classic, absolutely. And this particular record has the poster included. This is a hard record to find, even harder with the poster. If you like the proggier side of psychedelic rock, I highly recommend that one. Another krautrock classic. You can't really see what's going on there very well, I don't think, but this is Faust So Far. Faust, another big name in the krautrock world. So Far is their second best album, in my opinion. Faust 4 is my favorite. So Far, second best, in my opinion. Rainy Day, Sunshine Girl. Go check out that track from Faust So Far. It's absolutely amazing. A little more hardcore here for you from the DC scene. This is on Discord, and it's on colored vinyl. That's Faith's Subject to Change. One of the members of Faith was Ian MacKaye of Minor Threat's little brother. Fun fact, this is an amazing Sun Ra record, and it's still sealed on the Saturn label. Unbelievable. So hard to find these records at all, much less still sealed. And we'll close out with Offering by the Carpenters. I forget, this whole album was reissued with a different title. I want to say it's called Ticket to Ride or something, but you can totally fact check me in the comments, because that's what life's all about. Let's fact check each other. Let's keep it true. Let's keep it real. And when somebody says something that isn't true, feel free to call them out or correct them. It's okay to do that. Anyway, this has been great, hitting the record button and just winging it on the fly like I usually do to show you some of our most recent arrivals. Thank you again for liking this video, subscribing, and for shooting me a comment. I'd love to continue the conversation below, because I gotta go open up the shop now and I gotta get back to real work. This is just fun for me. Thank you very much, y'all. I'll see you again next time.